Consider this your step-by-step master plan for financial freedom in 2025. The year has already begun, the goals have been set, and you're still starting over on Mondays. I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do to begin your financial freedom journey and get on your way.
To the salon!
5, 10, 20, 50, 100, pass them around.
Hey y'all, this is your financial cousin, and if you're here for the first time, my name is Elena, here to help you grow up in your faith, your finances, and your life. So let's get real. Whether you believe it or not, you have a divine assignment from God, okay? But most of us are not living in that freedom because we are stuck in the cycle, okay, of debt, of student loans, and we can't get out. We can't get out. But you're not alone, because 72% of households in America do not have a financial plan. But that's not gonna be us on this channel, okay? If you're here right now, you're ready to lock in. You're ready to be different. You're ready to do what God has called you to be. So let's get to the steps. Step 1 is to set the vision. Y'all hear this all the time, write the vision, make it plain. But I want you to get even deeper by a set of questions I'm about to ask you. What kind of life would you live if money wasn't an issue? Where would you live? What would you be doing for work? What organizations would you be giving to and partnering with? How would you feel? Would you feel more confident? Would you show up in a certain type of way? Would your health be better? I want you to really write down who you would be, or who you would want to be, or who you feel like God has called you to be if money was not an issue. So for example, for me, I want to be a person who is extremely generous. When people are going through things like maybe they need a donation for a GoFundMe or something like that, I want to just give to people without thinking about it, without being stingy, or without being like, oh, I don't think I can afford it. Another person I want to be extremely healthy. I want to be a person who invests in myself, in the food that I put in my body, and the type of activities I do. That ain't cheap, okay? So I want you to write out who you would be if money wasn't an issue based off of that first question. This is going to be your baseline. You're going to come back to this when you start to get weak. So that's step 1. Step 2 is to identify the bleeding. I want you to write down every excuse you have made or that you're thinking right now of why you can't pay off debt.
Y'all be weak in the knees. Stand up. Stand up.
Is it because you don't have a good job right now? Is it because you didn't grow up with money? Is it because the government sucks and that's why you're not gonna have money? Like, what are all the excuses? We need to lay them out on the table. We need to get real right now so that we can push past them. The second thing with stopping the bleeding is I want you to find the pattern. What are the things that your family does? This is just what we do that is hindering you from growing in your money journey. Are you just lazy? Do you just not want to make the effort because it looks too hard? Are you struggling with doubt and belief that God can actually help you change your finances and that he's actually your provider? We need to find the patterns. We need to identify where this is coming up, because as you begin to do the practical things, you're going to go back to your vision and you're going to go back to your patterns quite often. All right, step 3. This is where it gets kind of real, but also a little bit fun. You need to know your numbers, okay? So when I was paying off $100,000 of debt in my journey, I had no idea when bills were due. I had no idea of interest rates of credit cards. I knew nothing. So I want you to take some time, pull up all your accounts, write them all down, and begin to fill out, when are the due dates of my bills? What are all of my bills, and how much debt do I owe? What is the interest rate of the debt that I owe? And I think that having this knowledge will give you one, education, but it will also bring you to this like come to Jesus of getting your life together. So a lot of times debt doesn't feel that much of a burden or a struggle because we ignore it. But when we sit in that truth, baby, you're gonna want to do everything you can to get out of debt. So you need to know your numbers. Step 4, you are going to save $1,000 in your savings account at the very minimum. Why is this important? Because when we don't have the money in our savings and say an emergency comes up or an accident comes up, we're so quick to use our credit cards, and that keeps us in this cycle. So you want to break that cycle by giving yourself a cushion in case an emergency comes up. An emergency is not you need to put a deposit on the girls' trip to go to Jamaica. That is not an emergency. An emergency is like you got in a car accident or something happened in your home and you need to get it fixed, like your heater or something like that. That's an emergency. Okay, so let's be clear about what an emergency is. Step 5. After you have your $1,000 saved, we're only going to save $1,000 right now because we're going to work towards our debt and then we're going to revisit. Step 5 is you're going to create a ding 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 budget. This is a cuss word in most people's households, but it's not going to be for you, okay? Now you can do a budget 1,000 different ways, but here is your baseline that I suggest. 50% for necessities. So think of this as all of your bills, your rent, maybe your food, because that's a necessity you got to eat, your car, car note, car insurance, any other insurances. So things that you absolutely need to survive, 50%. You're gonna do 20% into savings and investment. So if you are starting to build that savings to $1,000 for the first time, the 20% should definitely go to that. Once you've reached that 1,000, you should really start putting that towards debt or putting that towards investments, which we're going to talk about that in a minute. So 20% to savings and investment. You're going to do 20% for fun and wants. So who says you can't have fun while getting your financial freedom on, okay? You are going to put 20% away to do the things that you want to do, to eat out, to go to the movies. Maybe you're saving towards that trip to Jamaica that I just mentioned, but you want to do this in a strategic way. So you're not just out there spending money willy-nilly. You have a plan for your money. You know that 20% every month is going to go towards doing fun things. The last thing that is really important that people don't talk about is giving, okay? 10% for giving. Now, when I was paying off my debt-free journey, 10% of my giving was towards my church, which is called a tithe. But this could be anything. It'd be giving to a local organization. It could be giving to the poor, which we'll talk about a little bit more in a second. But 10% should go to giving. Why? Because we want to show God that this is his money. It's not our money. And so when we're stingy with our hands and we're so focused on self, that is not pleasing to God. So we want to keep our hands open, and I think this keeps our heart posture in a position to give and to receive. Step 6 is paying off consumer debt as fast as possible. You guys, debt is not set up for the most part, because you know, people, there's these financial gurus out there that be like, debt, you use debt for good. Debt, for the most part, is not set up for you to succeed, okay? These credit card companies, these debt companies, these payday loan companies, they want you to take out debt so they can keep you in bondage. And I promise you, once you pay off this debt, you're gonna open up a whole new level in your money and in your finances that you never thought you'd get to. So in step 6, I want you to commit to paying off your consumer debt. This is credit cards. This could be your car. This could be payday loans. Any consumer debt, you need to pay that off expeditiously. Now, there are 2 methods to doing this. One is a snowball method. This is the method that I use, which basically means that you start with your lowest debt first, and you pay that off, roll that into the next one, pay that off, roll that into the next one, and that creates the snowball. And why I love this personally for myself is because I just got small wins. Like, I would pay off that little debt and I just felt so confident. Like, I feel like, okay, actually, I can actually do this. So it was a big confidence booster, and it helped me to sustain paying off all that debt, because baby, it took 5 years, and that was a long time. There's another method that a lot of people like as well. It's called the avalanche, what basically means instead of paying off your smallest debt, you're going to pay off your highest interest rate. Because let's be honest, the higher the interest rate, the more money you're paying per month. And so instead of doing a snowball, it's tackling that and then tackling each one as you go along. This is great for people too, but I think you need to figure out which one will be better for you. Step 7, start investing. If you are new to investing, which when I started my financial journey, I absolutely was, the one thing that I suggest that you do is that if you have a job that offers a 401k, start there. Like, I'm not going to get into the weeds of investing in this video. That is the one practical step you can start today, is asking your job about a 401k and contributing to that. Now, how much should I contribute to my 401k? Well, if your job doesn't match, like say they say, okay, if you put in 3% in the pot, we'll put in 3% in the pot, then I would start as that as your baseline at the very minimum. So I would see how much your company matches and put in at least as much as they are willing to put in, because it is literally free money, you guys. And so I would not wait to pay off your debt to start that journey. I would do that ASAP. Lastly, the last step of your financial master plan is giving to the poor. This is so important. So in our budget, we put 10% aside for giving. Let me explain why giving to the poor is so crucial and is so powerful. I'm gonna read 2 verses for you that were critical for me. The first one is Proverbs 19:17. I'm gonna look down where I read it. Whoever is generous to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will repay him for his deed. These are the people that God cares about the most. He cares about the people that are in need. And so what God cares about, we need to also care about. And so we need to position our heart to be able to give, and not just to give. This isn't no prosperity gospel like, if you sow $100, you're gonna get 100 back. If you sow this, if you tithe every month, you're gonna get a car. It's not that. This is our first step in living for the kingdom and taking territory over for the kingdom and pushing God's kingdom forward. So this scripture is clear that whoever is generous, you're giving directly to God, which is powerful. Hebrews 13:16. Do not neglect to do good and to share what you have, for such sacrifices are pleasing to the Lord. Again, God is clear that these are sacrifices. Like, this isn't supposed to be easy, but what it's saying is that the people who are giving to the poor, this is pleasing in God's sight. We are giving him glory. We are giving him honor by how we are managing our finances. And so you can do all those steps. You can do the $1,000 saving, you can do the budget, you can pay off your consumer debt. But if you are not giving to the poor, you are missing the plot, my friends. So this is crucial. This is a non-negotiable, and I promise you that this is going to transform your whole life. I promise. I promise. So that is your financial master plan. 8 steps for glowing up your finances, for experiencing the freedom in Christ through eliminating financial bondage, which is crucial, okay? So I hope you had your pen, I hope you had your paper, I hope you took notes, and I hope you like this content. So if you did, subscribe, follow. We're gonna talk about a lot of that here on this channel. We're also gonna talk about your faith and discipline and all the things, and being in your 30s and how that it can be a hot mess, and being single and the struggle because we're doing this by ourselves. Yeah, all the things. So hope you enjoyed this. I will see you in the next video.